Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of the Muse. This is an episode for the full moon in Virgo for this month, the month of February. I welcome back my dear friend, astrologer and coach, Joelle Rabbaa. Welcome back, Joelle.
Hello, Maya. Thank you for, welcoming me again.
I like the sun behind you.
Yeah.
We're entering, the sun is entering the season of Pisces. So happy birthday to the Pisceans that are with us
Yeah. And all
listening.
the Pisces placements, right? If you have a rising in Pisces, if you have the moon in Pisces, Mercury in
Right.
Pisces, like myself.
Mercury in Pisces. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, let's go directly into this full moon in Virgo. And hopefully, tackle a little bit things from a perspective that is practical for people. We're kind of looking into how to relate the language of astrology and probably also include more shamanic practices and rituals in our sharing of the muse. So let us go directly into the new full moon in Virgo.
Yeah. So this full moon in Virgo actually started in the new moon in Virgo way back in 2023, 15th of September. So the arc of manifestation, let's say, for this full moon is 6 months back prior. And when we look at the configuration of this full moon, while the moon is in Virgo, usually a full moon in Virgo, people who are a bit like the organizational part, the details part, they thrive, and we have a moon in Virgo person with us here. So, masters of organizing, being efficient, timetables, data, and collecting things. The glitch that is happening on this full moon is that a moon in Virgo is ruled by Mercury. On the 15th of September 2023, Mercury was retrograde, but it was in Virgo, so it was in its own domicile. And now, right before the full moon, the ruler of this donation, Mercury, entered Pisces, where it's not very happy as a Mercury, because Pisces is a very soulful sign. So if we talk about the body, the head is represented by Aries, the feet are ruled by Pisces, and the parasympathetic nervous system. Whereas Virgo rules, which is on the other axis, right? Like, because in astrology, everything is in opposition, it's in axis, right? So Virgo and Pisces represent this axis. So the sun is in Pisces, the moon as full is in Virgo, and Virgo rules the small intestines and part of the nervous system as well. But when we think of it, what does it mean, the small intestines? Everybody speaks about the critical part of Virgo, the details oriented, the being, picky on details and picking up on people's small, glitches. But the higher manifestation of Virgo is it wants to be grounded and efficient. It's an earth sign. And the intestines, the small intestines, breaks down the food. It breaks it down to the nutrients and, sends away what we don't need. And the absorption starts from there. Like, what does my body need? So the microbiome is, is Virgo as well. And when we were, delving into researching for this full moon and talking about the energetical feeling of it, we were looking for an image, you and me. And the image was created together. But the image started by me telling you that Virgo reminds me of the ants colony. These little workers that are tireless and keep on working, right, to organize this system. They have a very good organized system, and they provide for themselves, and they sustain themselves. And Pisces is the ocean. So I want to give it to you here because you wrapped it up for me with your Virgo placement by giving us a vision for this full moon.
Yeah, when we discuss things before recording, it's also to see how we can relate the language of what we are discussing here, sharing, and for it to be relatable. We want this language to be heard. And it's so that, yes, it's not a teaching of astrology, but it's also because Joelle can be teaching astrology and the insights that she gives. At the same time, it's also something that is very humane. It doesn't require much. It requires patience, I would say, not the common language, especially in our part of the world. And plus we're talking in English, so we're supposed to be talking in Arabic, which is not the case, and probably this is less relatable. Yet we find that this is the language we connect with, and through it we are connecting with you and the broader area. Full moon in Virgo. I love this full moon in Virgo. So far, this full moon in Virgo has been quite bringing me actually back to balance, bringing me into, because I love organizing things. At the same time, I've been in states where organizing things wasn't working. It's like I was trying to organize things before, and it's like the pieces were all over the place. And the challenge was where is the harmony, center, but at the same time, how I'm not able to see some kind of harmonious, I wasn't able to feel a certain harmony. And so the focus for me was to connect again with daily practice, which I do. I never stopped. It's just to extend it or broaden it. And that's where this full moon in Virgo that's what it brought. And in the imagery while Joelle is talking, I'm looking at what are the components that can bring in something that would feel like a journey, like a ceremony. And what came up because of the ants, and I love ants. I mean, in my diets, I used to sit and watch ants, obviously, because there's not much to do. But it's like just sitting and watching ants, and they were teachers in reminding me how patient one should be in building something. And there's a connection, there's a telepathy, there's an intuition between ants where the chemicals are more the hormones and what is being sensed through their external sensors. They detect where to go, where to cover, how to go to the nest and all of that without doing much. And there's that intuition. So the imagery was a colony of ants on an island in the middle of the ocean. And this colony of ants is building, it has to survive. It's not isolated. It is connected to life, to everything around. It's just for the time being, that part of the earth that has surfaced, it happened to be there. And it sets its whole nesting area in a place where it's safe and where the ocean, where the tides, connecting again to the moon, the tides of the moon, the changes of the phases, where the high tide doesn't reach them unless there's obviously some kind of oceanic movement beyond the norm, which can be possible.
Yes. And that is Saturn in Pisces, right? Like when you talk about the Virgo part of you that is struggling with organizing, it's been a while. Neptune, went through the whole Pisces facing Virgo, people were just, the Virgoan people were just, struggling with understanding the organizational part. Okay, where do I stand in this? How can I, be more efficient? What's wrong with me? And then Saturn entered Pisces in March 2023. So it's been quite the journey, right? It's bringing a sort of a heaviness, but I would say as well, it's bringing a kind of a sobriety after all this Neptune voyage
Namaste,
in
Neptune.
Pisces.
Yeah.
Namaste, Neptune.
Namaste,
So what's
Neptune.
happening is actually, and that's our internal joke. So what's happening on this full moon specifically is that this moon in Virgo that wants to be, full of, organizational spaces and clarity, and it has opposing it the sun, which is right next to Mr. Saturn. And it feels like a culmination, but with like some heaviness or some sobriety moments, like, oh, so this is not happening the way I thought it would be happening. Maybe there will be some needs for adjustments.
Maybe disillusionment as well.
Yeah, and Mercury is in the mix with the Sun and Saturn. That's what's not helping that moon in Virgo, because Mercury in Pisces is not about details. It's about the big picture. Just like, in Pisces, it wants to feel the answer instead of, working the data of the answer. And I feel like the whole idea of the imagery that we came with is because if we're treating this full moon as a normal full moon functioning Virgo, there's going to be disappointment. But there is a possibility for a very soulful understanding of what we're going through that amazing alignment between, amazing astrologically, it might feel heavy for people practically, but honestly, having, the Sun and Mercury and Saturn 4 days after the full moon aligning together in a conjunction, it will bring some clarity where this full moon was a bit frustrating, right? So building up practically through the ants colony, like what does the ant colony need? It needs some, safety, right? It needs to bring barriers in order not to be swallowed by the ocean, any tides, like you said, right? So understanding, yes, the waters, if we take the waters, Pisces, the collective, this feeling of overwhelm, because Pisces is a sign that is connected to the collective. Virgo is connected to the details of it, to breaking down, to and going into the minutia.
Yeah, and also there's a tendency here to go into the details of polarization and the collective, and that's where there's a little reminder, and astrology has been reminding us in different ways. The world of spirituality altogether, there's also a disillusionment in the world of spirituality. And there are some pillars in astrology. Astrology is a guiding map, as it's like, a forecast, a weather, the way you describe it. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful metaphor. And, that colony of ants that can be the work that you are building yourself, what you have started since a year, since 2 years, since 3 years. How can you be protective of it? At the same time, how can you enhance the immunity of your body so that the immunity within the body can be the protective mode of your being? Because Virgo is also very well, it is related to health, because when we're talking about guts, we're talking about health, mental
gut
health,
feeling, right?
Indeed. And so there's that focus on health, taking care of one's health. And we're noticing this even more, And what kind of experts are you reaching to? Is it the regular common inside the box that I really don't know what to do? Or is it something alternative yet safe that can bring back this health to your internal microbiome? You know, the supplements, the adaptogens, the what is being available in terms of plants and fungi and all of that world. What is cooling also for you to bring balance again, and also take care of self in order to take care of others, especially if you're Virgoan by default. I mean, Virgoan people, they just get lost in service. It's like, how can I serve? How can I keep serving? How can I keep serving? And there's a loss of identity.
Some of them
somehow.
get lost in organizational spaces, organizing
True.
so much that they don't see the big picture, and that's why they need, you know, the counterpart, which is Pisces, that can see the bigger picture, right? So we need both. But if we consider, let's go back to your image of you know, the microbiome and the immunity. If we go back to the image of the ants colony, you know, your body as a person is an ant colony. It's like, it's so organized, it's so well, there is a hierarchy in the body. There is like a need for things to be on a certain schedule and on a certain, to make the system works. And a body needs boundaries, and boundaries are represented by Saturn, which is opposite to this. So like you said, how can you as an individual work on your immunity from inside? Building through this microbiome, through the little details.
And the boundaries can be porous, you know, the boundaries, the organs interconnect with each other. They're not like, I'm the liver, I'm not going to talk with the stomach, you know, which is very much what's happening in the world here around us. It's like we are, you know, when we talk about we are one organism, the earth is one organism, and we're just minute parts of the earth. We can't, yes, there are boundaries between countries, but the porosity, that's where the compassion of Pisces can be oozing between the boundaries, so that there is again a reverence. You know, I was listening to someone who's a lineage carrier in Hawaii, and he was talking about reverence and what can we take from the age of Pisces that we're stepping out from. Not the conditions, or not really the conditions, but really the faith and the divine. And what can this gift, how can we bring the gift of Pisces into the age of Aquarius? Everybody talks about the age of Aquarius, but if we don't look at what we can bring, again, you know, in shamanism, if we deny the ancestors, if we deny the elders, we can't move forward. Same concept here, and that connection with that expansion of Aquarius, that creativity, the AI world, all of that, where is again that sense of individuation in community. And community, what's better than expressing what community is other than the body? It's just
I would add to your insight about, you know, having porous, you said boundaries. I would say let them be flexible boundaries. Like you said, we need the parts of a system to speak to each other. You still need boundaries in order to say, okay, this is the limit. You cannot cross this limit, otherwise it's going to be harmful for both of us. So the flexibility of boundaries is a way for the system. If we take the body, if it's a way for the system to preserve itself, to create more spaces and more channels where they see dense energy and it's not functioning. It creates other, you know, other, as much as possible, of course, before the body crushes down. I have a small anecdote on how things manifest like in a normal life and in my personal life. I remember when I was going through a Saturn square, and I have Saturn in Virgo, the first thing that showed up in my body was the small intestines not functioning. it was not like a full shutdown of digestive system, but when I went to a holistic dietitian, she was like, oh, it's the small intestines that is not functioning. And I was like, oh, it's a Saturn square. And of course, Saturn is not going to come and pick up on stuff in your life that are working well. Saturn is going to tell you this is not functioning, right? That's the thing. It's not like my intestines and I had like the perfect lifestyle and this happened. It wasn't that situation. But I mean, for other people, if they want to relate, look where Virgo is in your chart. Look where Pisces is in your chart. If it's a second house, eighth house, second house is about money. Eighth house is about other people's endeavor. It might be your partner's money. It might be some inheritance. So if you have a full moon brings up tension on that part for you. So these are like practical ways, but you know, we trying to bring people up, you know, in with us in the conversation.
Yes, yes. And, you know, we can talk while we're talking about ants because they're about the earth. We didn't talk about bees because bees, there would be about the air. And so, you know, it's about bringing in the elements of nature into our conversation because that's quite the world of shamanism. Shamanism is the world of nature. We are nature. We are earth. We don't mimic earth. We are earth itself. That's why we're going through a lot because also the soil itself has been polluted. The waters have been polluted. And, you know, touching on the element of water, we thought of
yes,
sharing a prayer. And that's something that I also guide people to do in the guidance that I give, you know, in a shamanic level, and also integration.
And let's establish a little bit why, because Saturn in Pisces is in the waters and it's going to bring up the problems in waters, right? So pollution,
big events, pollution. I mean, but the waters
big
are
events,
already polluted. Yeah,
floods, tsunamis were, you know, happening when Saturn was in Pisces. So we thought about the scarcity of water. So we thought of, you know, linking this to shamanically for people to be able to relate with us on the energetics of these things. Yeah.
Yeah, and water as a connector of the continents, which is, you know, we talk about separation and the water is the connector and the conductor of currents and frequencies and electricity and signals, and how we communicate with each other emotionally is through the waters within us. So you know, I remind myself to to bless the water that I drink every day, and I remind myself to ask the water when I shower, ask the water to cleanse my energetic body, especially when I'm going emotionally through a lot, including days where there's just tears coming out, and just flowing out because of a specific incident, because of specific trigger or not. There's a lot that we are feeling. And even when we don't talk about things specifically, it's not that we're denying what is happening. It's actually speaking a language that through which we can relay how can we work with what's going on. There's a lot of emotions, floods of emotions happening, but if we're only talking through the lens of emotions, it's too much. We need to bring a kind of a clear message here, and have it being relatable, knowing that we are going through a lot of emotional stuff. So the blessing of the waters, you know, if you go online, you can find a prayer for water. What I felt today is just sharing a prayer with, I don't know, a cup of water that I'm having here, and just sharing a very spontaneous prayer with all of you. And it's not something I wrote. It's just what's gonna come through. So here's an invitation for you to also include this in your life, and to salute the energy of Pisces in your life as well. Faith, hope. So you can, bring a cup of water and, do this once a day. You don't have to do this with every time you drink water. As I'm preparing to drink this water, I bless this water. I bless the element that is essential for the functioning of my body, for the functioning of the body of the earth. May this water nourish my being. May this water bring freshness into my mind so that I see clearer and I speak from a place of authenticity, so that the clear waters that I'm drinking in this cup can bring clarity into every organ, every tissue, every system in my body, and that the communication inside of me becomes more natural, healthy, balanced, harmonious. May this water that I'm drinking also come through my body to come out and go back to the body of the earth, to the waters of the earth, and also bless the waters of the earth through my being into the earth, into the waters of the earth, to connect and also to bring harmony and balance in this earth, in this realm, between every component, for every sentient being, for the well-being of the all. Gratitude. And we drink the water. Just approaching this from a place of intention, from a place of heart.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
And the molecules of water can change form. You know this by now. If you don't, here's the quantum physics, the work of Masaru Emoto, it's all the sacred geometry of molecules in our body is what helps us also shift and bring balance into our being. And we're always at work. We're always, engaging with that. It's not going to be like, yes, there's an innate system that comes back to balance, but we have to work with it. It's the same thing as integration. And there's going to be an episode about integration that I'll be releasing after this episode. I feel like, giving time for this full moon and for you to listen to this episode before releasing a recent episode about integration that I recorded would be nice. And, having your feedback on this. Joelle, you mentioned that 4 days after this full moon, there's the energy of the full moon that is
growing bigger, right?
Right.
So the
what is after that?
the fastest body moving in the sky, right after the moon, because the moon is the fastest, will be Mercury. Mercury, right before the full moon, entered in Pisces, and it's gonna really like move so much fast, and it's gonna cross the whole Pisces in 2 weeks.
This is Mercury.
And right before the new moon, yes, it's gonna enter Pisces. So in 2 weeks, it's gonna like race forward, right? So the importance of Mercury is because of this full moon, because when a lunation is a lunation is like the potent part of the aspects in the seasonal change. Because of this lunation, we look up to Mercury and we see that Mercury is actually racing forward. 4 days later, we're on the Yeah, so let's say let's speak about how it's happening. So 23rd Mercury entered Pisces, and we have our full moon in Virgo, and then on the 25th of Feb we have some good news that directly after the full moon Venus is squaring Jupiter, so it might be a nice feeling of, you know, generosity, you know, wanting, because, you know, Venus and Jupiter are the moderators of the zodiac, right? Everybody is fiery and they are like, yeah, how can we bring harmony? How can we bring more expansion in a, you know, in a connective way?
That's the 25th.
So
okay.
That's the 25th. And on the 27th of Feb, we have Mars squaring Jupiter, Mars in Aquarius, and we talked a lot about Aquarius. Mars and Jupiter are a bit of like the mischievous, because Jupiter brings confidence to Mars, and Mars doesn't really need confidence. It's already feisty and fiery. So somehow watch out for your, you know, for taking in too much without really thinking of the consequences. If that's, you know, what you're used to do, just pay attention for this day. Sometimes we can feel like we are, if we're in a rut, this helps us to be more confident to do something. But if we're more on the feisty level of Martian energy, this can bring some, you know, more strong butt heading. And this is exactly what we've been talking about for the last, you know, couple of episodes about air sign and earth sign, between the full moon and the Kazimi. And then the famous Kazimi, which is a fancy name to say
the connection is a bit
this is where when a
slow.
planet
So you're talking about the Kazimi at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. 28th of Feb, we have conjuncting Saturn. This is Mercury conjuncting the Sun is not a very, it's a common thing. Every 2-3 months, Mercury goes into retrograde and then meets the Sun at some point. So, but having the Sun and Saturn and Mercury at the same degree, this is something very new, since Saturn is in Pisces, and this will bring some insight to what happened that full moon. It will bring some insight for all of us on what is not working actually, because Mercury in Pisces will have some insights about all of this. The thing with Mercury in Pisces, it's not capable. It's good to have insights. It's very good to have downloads. The thing is, it's not very capable of, you know, moving forward. It needs another kind of energy, which the good news is, before the full moon, before the new moon, Mercury will enter Aries, and it will dry out all this water. It will become more clear, more going forward. It will have the energy of Aries to speak up more, to start new endeavors maybe. So yeah, that's on the astro weather level. The upcoming new moon on the 10th of
March. Yeah. We'll be getting ready for that episode. Wow, there's I mean, to each phase of, you know, these lunations, the new moon and the full moon, there's a lot going on, and, you know, reading the energies around them, you know, might be relatable. You know, this full moon in Virgo, for example, is a culmination for the new moon in Virgo for me, and that happened in September 15th. For you, it might be something that showed up to bring clarity, as something that, as Joelle is saying, is not working, instead of something that is working. So how can you touch base on, okay, what is my part in this, and what can I open myself up again, open myself to seeing things differently, sharing or feeling, and
Or course
allow,
correcting as well.
course correcting. And so thank you a lot, Joelle, for everything that you bring into these, you know, these dipping of the toes in the energies at play on the new moon and full moon. There's a lot that you prepare in order to filter what you can in the time that, not only in the time we have, but we don't want to extend those episodes for them to be so boring, you know. We just
Yeah,
want to,
because
we bring
yeah,
insights,
the
we bring
interest.
imagery, we bring you know, I'm going to be bringing more practices and rituals so that they can be more relatable. And and you know, you can actually watch them on the full moon. You know, we hear people watching things after the full moon, and it's like, okay, you
But
know,
it's
if
okay as well, right?
as well you can get the
You can.
insights and come back and kind of revisit, like you're revisiting also your journal, and this can bring clarity. Anything else you want to add, Joelle, on this full moon before we close this episode?
I just want to bring it back to the body because I feel like Virgo, for the people who don't really relate to Virgo, I do relate a lot. I have a lot of, you know, Virgo placements, you too. Bringing it back to the body, guys.
Yeah.
Honestly, like whatever you do, bring it back to the body. If you're getting sick a lot, bring it back to the immune system. What are you not giving?
Yeah,
What is
how can
not
you,
functioning? So
yeah,
you
if
can
you can
course
go through
correct.
fasting, if you can go through a detox, you know, simplifying the food is the best way to do things, you know, like 1 day per week, fast for a day.
And it's
It's
very
not going to be
Virgo
the
and
end of the world.
simplifying.
Yeah, simplify, go through a detox, grounding, earthing. You know, earthing is one of the ancient techniques that is still being used. And we go back again, the muse is about bringing, reminding ourselves and you and everybody, really, whoever relates and resonates, about the traditions, because those traditions worked for ancient people, and that's where, you know, intuition was higher, health was at a
And we're
different level,
modernizing them.
and we're upgrading them. And it's like, yeah, okay, let's work with all of this. Well, wow, thanks a lot, Joelle. Anyone who wants to get in touch with Joelle, have a reading with her, amazing just intuitive astrologer, like you know, everyone has their gifts, and Joelle has the gift, and she really brings out the best of herself in her readings, and in how she really
And you too, by the way.
wants to relay this passion with others, to the point that it really touches others. It's very inspiring, and it's always nice to be inspired and get inspired, especially by someone like you,
Thank
Joelle.
you. Thank you.
May this
And
full
you've
moon
been
be
blessing
blessed.
us. Yeah, you've been blessing us with some rituals, so we hope to have more online of this.
Yes, yeah, I'll be sharing more. I think I'm required to do this. I think everything is telling me that, and it's okay. Let's go with that. Many blessings, everybody. May it be a blessed full moon. Take care of yourselves, and until the next
Bye
episode,
for now.
share, like, love, and send the love. Bye for now.
Yes.